My name is Leanna Dronzo. My address is North 168 West 20257 Main Street, Jackson, Wisconsin, and I have a son in the West End School District. I'm gonna be honest here, this is the first school board meeting I have ever felt it necessary to attend. When some of the new equity training curriculum came to my attention recently, it alarmed me enough to make this brief statement. No matter what specific initials or name equity training is titled under, and there are a multitude, I myself found 87, scratching the surface of this socio-political ideology reveals it is a rebranding and repackaging of ideas and theories pulled straight from Marxism. Just replace class with race. Why would we ever in America instill doctrine of equity over equality? Why would we choose to instill a theory birthed in Marxism over the declaration all men are created equal, and that America is an equal opportunity land, that we are all free to strive in this land after life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Why would we suddenly stop preaching Dr. Martin Luther King's philosophy that we should judge every man and woman not by the color of their skin or the misdeeds or shortcomings of their ancestors, but by the content of their character? Why is such a radical and controversial curriculum being taught to any children? We cannot talk about Lord God or teach Lord God in public schools anymore, but we can teach curriculum with Marxist roots. Why are children being used to test out harmful and divisive theories? These kids have the rest of their adult lives. They have to deal with complicated politics and social agendas. Let's leave them to their childhoods without all these adult culture wars being brought to their learning table. We shouldn't even have to be here discussing something this biased and controversial being put into our public schools. Our son just wants a normal 9th grade year. Our son deserves a normal 9th grade year. We may now homeschool this year in light of this new curriculum. There is only one race, it's the human race. Let's not start sowing division when we should be busy building unity. Thank you.
My name is Neil Freund. I also live on George Court in West Bend, and current parent of a WVST student. I'm here today to bring the board's attention to my concern with the language and ultimate implementation of the principal's message sent out to parents in the summer newsletter. Mr. Yeoman wrote, and I quote, "As a school, we are excited with the renewed focus on our Tier 1 instruction, focusing on a new literacy framework, creating practice, social-emotional learning, and equity and inclusion." As I did some research into social-emotional learning, equity and inclusion, I would like to share with you what I have found. This following is taken from Navigating SEL from Inside Out, July 2021 edition, which is the framework of our second step that you have adopted. So they say achieving equitable SEL, they define education equity as the intentional counter to inequality, institutionalized privilege, prejudice, and systemic deficits in our educational system. This concept combines commonly accepted aspects of education equity like fairness and inclusion with the broader, more expansive system-focused aspects of racial equity, such as dismantling white supremacy and addressing the legal, political, social, cultural, and historical contributors to inequity that exists within broader societal and institutional structures. This leaves one to conclude that education through an SEL lens begins with the false premise that all American and educational institutions and structure are unequal or racist from the start, which is not true. This is later reinforced by their papers saying that the equitable SEL is not just for students of color. All children begin absorbing and internalizing messages, whether through subtle cues or overt statements, about our own racial inferiority or superiority from a very young age. White students' beliefs on their own superiority, however unintentional or subconscious, negatively impact their social, emotional, and moral health and ultimately impair their ability to focus in a diverse world. Children who are never asked to confront their role in a racist and unjust society are at a disadvantage. I challenge the board here to carefully review the curriculum being implemented in our schools with a renewed vision, a better understanding of the destructive nature of SEL, and encourage you to take appropriate action if this material is presented in our classrooms now or in the future. And do not mask our children.